Well, let's get straight into it right now. Please welcome to the stage Mircea Shau, Radu Stanescu, and our moderator Adrian Posteuca.
Hello, hello, hello. We are talking about security. Yes?
Not sure.
Hello, hello, hello. I prepare a little something just to set up the context for everybody. Welcome to the age where the code is more powerful than the ammunition. We are talking about how the same algorithm could hack minds or rewrite our reality. AI has joined already the army. It's not wearing any uniforms, but is sitting quietly in satellites, drones, and social media feeds. It doesn't do the march or salute. It predicts, manipulates, learns faster than we do. It's truly fascinating and terrifying. It's a well-crafted deepfake how can cause more chaos than a bomb. We don't need to invade a country anymore. We just need to invade their perception of truth. Europe finds itself between two empires, US and China, both racing to dominate the invisible battlefield. And Romania stands on the frontier, not geographically, but technological too. We learn to fight with data, defend with code, and protect with intelligence in every sense of the word. I've seen AI in the most creative, generating beautiful images, emotional music, and poetic scripts, but also dangerous when it creates and generates beliefs. When it convinces people that something false is real and something real is false. It's not just technology, it's a psychology warfare. As someone who spent years in creative AI, I both found it beauty and dangerous. It can make art and it can make war. It can generate symphonies and synthetic lies. So today, in our brilliant panel, we are going to talk not about power, not about military power, but narrative power. Who controls the stories, the system, and ultimately the future? Because the battlefield of tomorrow is not just land and online, it's our perception. And whoever owns the perception wins. We're going to join also by the nice gentleman from Google. Yes? Welcome. So let's talk about security. Let's talk about how AI is part of our security today. Who's going to tackle this first discussion?
Okay, I'll start. Okay. Because our two initiatives at the European level, I'm talking about artificial intelligence consultative forum and a research group for consultative forum, which intend to regulate the artificial intelligence, but how to regulate the dark market, how to prevent to be infected by poisoned artificial intelligence. Okay, we are talking about fragmented modules of artificial intelligence specific for each industry. And we can talk about modules of artificial intelligence like guardians. I think that nothing is unified. Google has some powerful tools for checking poisoned modules of artificial intelligence. But it's a question, I raise a question. Should be or must be imposed a real check for each module dropped in the market? I'm talking about artificial intelligence. Should be checked when it's before to be produced and before to be launched on the market, or after it's launched to be checked. What is the best approach in this manner? It's just
to be
a
checked
question.
Anyway.
Could be checked, should be, must be checked anyway. But because we are talking right now about vulnerability management, and vulnerability management is not about algorithm, it's not about concept, it's about everything. From the gate, from the buildings, from the people, this is AI now. AI is not now. AI is 1957, something like this. Now we realize that are using tools of AI. Okay, our children, the teachers are using or not, like some speakers said. And from Adobe and from NVIDIA understood what's mean sustainability, what's mean invest in powerful engines of AI. How to face the challenges and to treat this vulnerability.
I think we are talking about the outputs right now. How these AIs impact society. Because in a war, in national security, you don't talk about the gun, you talk about the impact of the gun.
I'll explain to you. Impact the man and impact the national security.
Yes.
Because from the man, it's starting the national security. It's up of each of us, depend of each of us, the national security. Nothing is no important or less important in this game of national security, European security, global security. Am I right, Patrick?
Well, first of all, I have to say I'm a very spontaneous guest here. So,
I know.
With no preparation, but I hope I don't need it much. I'm not going to answer that question, but I'm going to answer another one. Very politician-like. You can guess how much Germany spends per citizen on cybersecurity. What do you think? $100? 100 euros? 200? 300?
We can guess.
Should be some thousands, actually.
Sorry?
Should be some thousands.
Exactly. It's 5,000 per citizen. So that's the level of investment you have to take right now in order to make sure that there's a cybersecurity place as well. And that goes beyond just, I don't know, having plans and tanks and having all the military around as well, which is more physical. And they also have to invest into the non-physical protection as well. And that investment, if you multiply that by the number of citizens that we have in Germany, that shows exactly how much of a threat that could have been or could be, which is why we have to double down on investments there as well. And on top of that, of course, I mean, there is also the sovereignty part, which is indirectly a bit of a, I would say, a national security issue as well, which becomes more and more of an important topic, also for just regular commercial customers, right? They all need to make sure as well sometimes, because they have to, or because they want to, that the solutions that they buy from big cloud providers are also providing for the sovereign controls that allow them to manage the data themselves and having the control over the data rather than giving everything away and letting the service provider dealing with it in their minds without the necessary level of controls as well for themselves.
Okay, we are talking about defense on the premises of AI and the perception, because the battlefield of technology could be the land, but is online right now. Also, a big part of the war, the new AI war, is on our social media, is around news, and back in the days you have to check your sources, but now we have to check your pixels. And this is a way of interacting with the new media behind us. With the new media that's in front of us is not check your sources, but check your pixels. What is the take of you on this kind of direction?
Definitely controlling the whole society has been always the main element for winning a war. Doesn't matter what type of war and how are the tools and the weapons. Now controlling the narrative becomes more and more important, and we've seen social media taking over bullets and other kind of kinetic war. It's not a new idea. It's something that if we go deep dive into the history, we can see that in 20th century, in the first wars, when they were speaking about active measures in different cases, it was about finding the crack in the society just pouring a little bit of water there, wait for some time, and it will be a larger crack in the society. So right now, it's not about finding the cracks in a country, for example. It's about using the most dynamic and with the most rich for the society of that country, what are the problems in there. So we've seen now social platforms that are more and more being used as weapon tools for the hybrid warfare. And definitely I would say that nowadays we're not gonna look at the next big war if we will have to speak of a war.
One biggest fear is that with artificial intelligence, okay, it's increased not 10 times, not 100 times, but 1,000 times the danger of profiling, disinformation, and cyber manipulation. And this is about national security, about European security, about global security. Okay, don't feed the artificial intelligence. You want to be protected. Everybody wants to be protected, yes? Suppose so. It's at the level of the Maslow pyramid. Okay, don't feed your enemy, because on this level, artificial intelligence doesn't count. It's not care about only informations, and are using by good people and by bad people. And we know public information, again, that are modules of artificial intelligence who refuse to shut down themselves after the operations. Or blackmail against human operators, or found backdoors because they don't fight against chapter, employed a specialized human company to fight against chapter, and it's made by artificial intelligence now. I mean, what is on the papers is not.
But how we can fight them? How we, at the end of the day, we are, let's say, we are users.
It's a day by day, it's a whole day job of all of us. First, don't feed them. Second, help the institutions. We need the help of institutions. The institutions need our help, and all public partnership. Private-public partnerships are absolutely necessary. Identify the poisoned modules, applied penalties, are just regulations. It's a part of solving the problem. It's not doesn't exist. The gold treasure.
What I want to complete on this part is that definitely regulations are part. But I think that education, starting from the really early stages in life, there were earlier panel regarding child protection. I think education at every level and understanding what AI can do what it cannot do, it's mandatory now to fight from literally within the target, because the target is in the end is the human. And definitely education at every stage, layer by layer, I think is the only way forward. But I will let the authority part here speak.
Before I hand over to you, because you've been new to that panel as well, welcome. You said the right thing, two things. One is there is this indirect war happening where things are not being considered a threat necessarily, but they're used to manipulate people and manipulate influence decision-making as well. And you mentioned something that led to something that makes me feel responsible, and responsible is the right word. So what I think everyone has to do and has to be obligated to do when building models is to provide something that is responsible AI, right? So that is identifiable. If you, for example, look at SynthID developed by DeepMind, so where you can actually make sure that any picture that has a SynthID, that you know it's been generated by AI, so that you can identify the right from the wrong, the actual picture from the wrong picture. That's one important part, but also providing answers that do not compromise as well, right? It's a super hard job for an AI to be built in a way that it doesn't provide answers that could be abused as well. I think one part of our company who's been doing a great job is, and I don't want to praise them too much, but YouTube has done a great job in elections as well. So when there's election time, YouTube in that country is a target to be abused to influence decision-making in the respective country. So we need to make sure that there's no false information being spread. So there are a lot of people making sure that the content is being screened and analyzed constantly to making sure that there's no false information on YouTube in order not to influence people into the wrong way.
I want the authority to answer. I can also lead on that, but why should we, as a country, Romania or other countries in Europe, to actually stand next to Google or not use Romanian governments or, let's say, digital military to actually fight this kind of stuff, because we're gonna go to a private institution to help us defend ourselves. Yeah, we go to Google, we go to TikTok and say, please help us. But that's a company. That company needs to make profit. So it's not a country needs to come to regulate the people, but how a society, how a country can build this digital army.
I look at Patrick and I see that he has a very difficult job defending the brand. Fortunately, as a regulator, I have a high level of trust in your brand, and I'm saying this not to, knowing that Google works around the world with all the most important clouds, I've sat with national security people in important governments, and I know that you work together with them. But why did I say that? I wanted to, because this was my opinion also in Romania. We should trust more the market. When we talk about cloud, for example, I want to see a cloud in Romania which is built with the best technology in the world, which, by the way, it's private. It's private. The state has to have the overview. The intelligence community, the institutions has to have the overview. But everywhere across the world, you will see DOD, Department of War now, any government puts trust in these companies because they really know their job. But when we talk about AI, something different is going to happen, and it's already happening. If you have a very strong intelligence community and national security community, which I'm proud that we have this in Romania, and you have Google, for example, or OpenAI, or Grok, anything. When we speak about AI, you have to understand that these entities are obliged to give the power to a third party, which eventually, on the worst case scenario, and it's real, it can exist, we're not going to control. And that's what scares me, and that's why as a regulator I'm telling you this, we have to educate, exactly like Radu said. From the smallest kid, 5, 6 years old kid should understand at least at the level of definition. What's AI? I'm teaching my 6 years old daughter. Why is this video not true? Daddy, what's AI? This is AI. This is not real, Ava. You should not watch this because this is not real. I know that your colleague told you something about that. I'm giving you some bites of information that I'm feeding my child, and you should do that. So what scares me that eventually the best two entities, national security / intelligence community, which has the, let's say, the highest level of information in a state, in a government, plus the best companies in the world, eventually, for the first time in history, they have a risk in their face to feed some data in a black hole, correct me if I'm wrong, to a third party which can be called today a virtual god. That's seriously, I'm serious. I'm having really, there's an actor, Joseph Gordon-Levitt from Inception. He's a great guy. We got friends. follow him to see he's raising one of the most important topics about ethics. If we do not treat correct the way we handle ethics within AI, you're not going to talk about Google anymore. You're not going to talk about any other company on the world, because it's going to go south bad. And I'm not here to predict a bad scenario, but we should prepare.
One thing, we are not tricked by AI right now. We are tricked by people who are using AI. So AI doesn't think let's trick Romanians to believe that thing is real and that thing is not real. We are tricked by other people. The AI is not right now is not the entity that's tricking us. Other people using AI is tricking us. So in a way, how can we protect from this kind of bullets in the real world? We had election. We had a lot of things that manipulates our reality. And how, as a state, okay, we're talking about the God of AI, and it's okay, we can teach our children to understand that. But how we can protect ourselves, even right now. I'm a specialist in AI, but sometimes some tools from AI, from Google, from Sora, from all this kind of stuff, they trick me in thinking that's reality. But how can we protect ourselves in the most important moments?
I just have to provide a quick comment, and I'll leave the word to you, because you asked me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, or if you're right, if you're wrong. Actually, yes, you're partially wrong. Why? Because this is why we want to develop solutions that actually address the needs for sovereign controls. Because we see the need for having a larger ownership by national security agencies, but also commercial companies as well. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's a local regulation that actually requires you to rather host, like the regulation is a bit ambiguous, which is intentional, which then makes you think, okay, I'd rather host information and have control of the information in the country than to give it to someone who is probably exporting it to, let's say, the US, for example, where it can be possibly accessed as well by third parties. This is why we also, I have to think about the exact time, but very recently we closed a deal with the German armed forces as well, where we sold them a solution that is air-gapped. That's Google Distributed Cloud air-gapped, which means it's completely disconnected from the internet. It doesn't have any access to the internet. It is a sole hardware solution that we implement at the premises of the German armed forces. And I think we could have said, well, use the public cloud, and that's it. So we went one step ahead. We said, okay, use the public cloud, but use it with a sovereign control partner, like, for example, T-Systems. And then we went one step ahead and said, well, that's still not enough, because some institutions really require something that works at the edge in their own premises only, which is why we developed that as well. Of course, there's a reduction in functionality, sure. It always comes with a compromise. But it is a solution that addresses those control needs, which is why it's something that we're trying to do over and over again to making sure that our solution is being used more broadly as well, not necessarily just to make money, but also to make money, of course, but also address the market needs. Sorry, I was deviating from your
No
topic.
problem at all. What I want to say is that on-premises management of vulnerabilities, on-premises is the first step of zero trust in supply chain. That is just a step. Because you ask us actually, why it's not capable one state to assure his own national security against AI, because I don't know any state to realize an efficient defense system without private partnerships. I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps it is, but I don't know that state. No matter what is it. So public-private partnership. Where are our data? Where we decide to be in the black market or in the AI modules, because we are asking AI modules to provide us answers to us. But in the same time, our questions it's a feed for the AI and profile us, each of us, from the normal, usual user to the decision makers. And each of us could be, like a human being, could be a vulnerability for national security.
What I would complete on what Mircea you said is the fact that, especially when speaking, as you said, Patrick, in the isolated environment, air-gapped, okay, they are using their data, but still at this moment, if I understood right, correct me if I'm wrong, the algorithm is something provided by Google in this case.
Sure.
Just a name here. So I really think that in the relation with national authorities, I think that transparency towards the algorithm, how it's being trained, not only the data are those, that's clear, but also the transparency and the clear open hands policy between private and public partnerships is key, especially in such environments.
And I think that's what you're relating to as well. It's about the educational part, which is how can we make sure that you have a good sense of criticism as well when you're using tools like this, rather than using it without ever thinking about any threat. You want people to use it with a good mindset of, okay, maybe this is not a good use of it. Maybe the result is not correct. Maybe I'm compromising by saying something. So I think that's important that we make sure that people realize that there is a bit of a threat as well in everything. It's like driving a car, right? So driving a car, if you've never seen a car before and someone gives you a car, they say it's amazing, isn't it? Right? You can just push down here, you throttle, and you go ahead. And you don't probably realize yet at that moment that you could probably crash the car, or crash with the car, crash others, right? So we train people to drive, and the same we should do as well by using AI. We should train using AI, like we train now people to use the internet as well. That's also been a development.
Yes, and I think that the underline of this discussion should be education, because the default mode today is untrust, what you see on social media. I think that's the most important thing that everybody in the room should think about it, to not to trust first the first idea of a social media, the images, the videos, and then to have like a good thing, oh, it's true. But first to be uncertain about the quality of the information. And now let's take some questions from the audience. ISO can be part of an AI defense development, and what are the steps?
Defense development? Yeah, ISO 9100 is not enough.
I know, it's the lowest.
I would say it's the most simple thing to do. Yeah, it's a part of the AI defense development. First of all, very quick, in order for the Romanian defense ecosystem adopt AI solutions, it's going to pass some time. First, we need to build a very strong framework. I mean, at least in the drone ecosystem, which is not only fashionable, but is very used these days and is very capable. It rearranged the way that the war takes place. In a Romanian company, not that only has chances, but there are Romanian companies which are now at the top of this domain, working with the top companies in the world. And I know the Minister of Economy, former Minister of Economy, now Energy, Bogdan Ivan, actually delivered some MOUs on this. I gave you an example. So yeah, there's a chance, but ISO 9100 definitely is not.
It's the lowest.
It's the first checkbox that you have to.
Another question is about how technology can help us detect other technologies. And I think there's a lot of AIs that can detect fake AI, no?
Yeah, I mean, compromising AI is the best thing ever, right? So you actually, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. I I think there are multiple ways you can and should be using AI in order to verify information as well. Like, everyone heard probably the mistake of AI being asked how many R's are in strawberry. I know you're tired of that, maybe. And it says 2. The good thing is, if you ask, are you sure? It says, oh, maybe I miscounted, so it's 3. And that's, I think, sometimes we have to realize that AI is not giving you the perfect answer in the first place, and neither it can probably verify all the resources, but if you double check and ask as well, it gives you probably a good check on whether or not the information is accurate. So the rethinking process is very human. We should do this over and over again as well ourselves, which is probably the human element in AI. It doesn't give you the answer right away. Sometimes you have to ask twice and also ask for verification.
Okay,
No,
another
just
short answer.
Really short. We must live starting from yesterday. Must live starting from yesterday with AI. So adapt ourselves to be capable to live with AI for our safe and for national security.
Okay, don't believe whatever you see. The real world is on your perception. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for all our panelists and our moderator as well. Thank you so much.